Hello, everyone. It's Lloyd Moyer here. I'm still impatiently waiting for my electrical hookup here in my new shop, but I got impatient enough to dig out actually the first lathe I ever bought on my own, which is this little 10-inch swing jet that is still in my shop. I've had people ask me, and just as an aside note here, right away, if you're starting out turning and you have, a limited budget to go out and get a lathe, like a little jet is better than so many things that you could find for cheap. It was described to me once by an old turner here in Eastern PA as a professional grade machine at an opening price point. Jet is not inexpensive, but for what you get, it's a really good machine at a really good price. So this lathe is probably 30 years old, 25 at least. But so I'm going to do a little turning on this, and I'm going to let you watch me. I just have a couple of small pieces that have been drying that I'm going to finish off. I haven't turned in about almost 6 weeks, so I can't wait to get back into it. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I don't mess up too badly by being a little bit rusty. So stay tuned. Thanks. So I have a few of these little guys that have been sitting here drying for a little while, and they should be all ready to finish. This one has a little piece of bark here, but that'll come off when I turn the base for the chuck. And other than that, it's got a little bark inclusion there. That I think will probably just live there. Other than that, pretty clean. So one of the downsides of this little lathe, it predates common variable speeds, and especially for little guys like this. A little lathe like this now has variable speed, but this one doesn't. So I have it set to what the little gauge in the motor says is 1800, which is faster than I would normally turn for a piece like this. But for whatever reason on this lathe, it doesn't really bother me. I think maybe it's not entirely accurate. We're going to see how this table does also. It's not real secure. The lathe is just sitting on here. The one thing that this lathe has gotten is a new on-off switch that you can't see, but it's just a rebuilt switch. So let's see how we do. I'm going to start this with a 1/2-inch spindle gouge. A little bit high. I'm going to start by flattening off the base here. And then I should have done this before I started, but I didn't. I have my my dividers that are set for my different jaws. I believe this one is set for the ones that I'm using now. And I'm just about there anyway, so it's not that. It's not this one. Okay. Yes, note to self, do this before you start filming. If you set some dividers to the diameter of the chuck that you want to use, sorry if my head's in the way, then when you if you turn the foot to this diameter, then when you take the chuck, the bowl out of the chuck at the end, there are no indentations on the foot, so you can finish the foot entirely, sand it, put finish on it, turn it around, put it in the chuck, and when you're done, you can take the finished bowl out of the chuck without any chuck marks, which to me is a huge advantage, because when I'm all done turning, I want to be all done turning. I don't want to have to mess with the foot, because it just gives me another opportunity to mess it up, because I'm good at that. So again, I think I am going to be okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay with this diameter. But just in case I need a little extra, I'm going to put a little bead in at the bottom here, maybe two, so that if the foot is a little bit too small, I can go into one of these ridges instead. So now I'm just going to, again, going back to my 1/2 inch spindle gouge, just going to true everything up. And the little bit of vibration you're hearing is just the fact that the both the lathe is not bolted down or anything, and nor is the bench that it's sitting on. I would not turn anything too unwieldy on here. The lathe can handle it, but the table can. It also has a very short tool rest, so I have to move it a little more often. That doesn't really bother me though. For those of you that are turners, I can't express to you how good it feels, and maybe you know, if you've ever been away from turning for a little while, it feels so good to get back to it after it's been a while that you've been doing it. It feels like there's something there. Oh, just not quite round yet, right there. I think I'm going for pretty simple here. This will just be a simple little personal utilitarian, sort of a personal candy bowl or nut bowl, or I don't know, whatever snacks you like to eat or change or whatnot. Maybe a little bit big for paper clips, but and as I often do, I like to have a little bit of detail somewhere up towards the rim, so that it's obvious that you didn't just go all the way up to the top and just stop. It's it's there on purpose. All right. Just going to even it out a little bit with my skewed scraper here. The scraper, when done gently like this, it's a great way. You get a very nice cut, for one thing. But you also, it's also a great way to flatten out a lot of the little dips and ridges that it's very easy to get with the gouge, even when you're riding the bevel, because the bevel is very short. So it's very easy to make, you know, not perfectly even curves. Whereas the opposite is true with the scraper. It's very easy to make sweeping curves. Okay. That looks nice to me. I'm not quite round here at the base. Go back to and I'm going to have to round it off as well. So I'm going to go back here to my 3/8 spindle gouge. This is why I put the beads in, because this may end up being too small for the chuck. All right, I have just a little bit, it's just a little bit of bark right there, but I think I'm going to not worry about that, because if that comes off, or when it comes off eventually, it's not going to hurt anything. All right, so this gets sanded. Now it's a nice enough cut that I'm just going to start here with 180 grit. Something else that this lathe does not have is a reverse gear. Walnut oil and beeswax. Just buff off the excess. The wax will come off with use, with washing it at the very least. But the oil should stick around for a little while. When you're holding the bowl on this little ridge like this, expanded, when you go to take it off, be sure you turn it the right way. Because if you open it some more, sometimes you hear that little popping sound. That means you just cracked it, which I don't recommend. Let's see here. Yep, it's a little bit too small. So it's a good thing I have the ridges. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to this one. We're going to do this second one as well. This video is going to be a twofer. Everybody likes a twofer. Not quite. Back to the 3/8 spindle gouge. Notice how I came in, I'm up above center here, but then as I come down towards center, you want the tip of the tool, the very nose of the tool to come to center. But you don't want to push too hard through the center because that'll tear those fibers out. Because remember, the very center of the bowl here is barely turning because it's the center. Switch back to the 1/2 inch from the 3/8. Not that I need the extra heft of the 1/2 inch, but I like to save the 3" for the 3/8 for the more of the detail work. The 1/2 inch here is sort of the workhorse. It was nice shavings coming off of there. Again, feeling something in the middle here. Let's see what it is. Ah, little flat spot right there. Not quite round. You probably can't see it, but I can, but just barely. One of the things I've really gotten to enjoy about making these smaller bowls. I mean, this isn't a teeny bowl, but it's not a salad bowl. You know, it's a handheld. It allows me to really pay closer attention to the form of the bowl. Because it's smaller, all of the form, the shape, the wall thickness, the relativity of the inner wall and the outer wall is amplified because it's on a smaller scale. And I really like what it has done for my design capabilities. You know, paying attention to the sweep of the curve, and things like that. You know, this one was a little bit too squat. The curve came a little bit straight out from the foot, and it needed to jump up a little bit. You know, it needed a little bit more life. And when you pay attention to these things, and they're little things, but if you pay attention to these little things, I promise your overall bowl aesthetics are going to be much better. You know, there are lots of. I follow plenty of turners on social media, and then plenty more just sort of show up because I follow other ones. And the amount of people on social media that are very, very good video makers and need a little bit of work on bowl design and technique. I swear I watch these videos sometimes and I talk to them, you know, like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, why are you doing that? Oh man, come on. Don't leave it like that. um, because I see the skill is there, you know, and certainly the desire is there, and especially young people, like, yeah, go for it. I love to see younger people getting into this, but they're, you know, not paying the right attention to form and design and aesthetics, which is, you know, understandably, it's not necessarily an easy concept. And I by no means am an authority on the subject. It's just something that I pay attention to. This I'm looking at this wondering if it needs a couple of lines here, and I feel like it actually doesn't. I know I just got done saying how I like to have something up here by the rim to make it look like you're designing it and paying attention to it. But I think because this curve comes around and goes back in, it does that on its own automatically. So I think we're going to leave that just the way it is. So, sanding. I also want to make sure that you always want to be just slightly concave in the middle there, slightly dipped, so that the bowl sits flat. It'll sit on the outside edge. And in fact, the thing I'm going to do with this one is give it a little bit of a lip. Just going to put the left-hand corner of the scraper there, and then I just turn in, and it gives it a little bit of a lip. Again, makes it look like you paid special attention to the bottom. If you've ever sold your work, you know The first thing somebody does when they pick up your bowl, I swear, they pick it up to look at the bottom, which maybe they do because it's the only part they can't see when they're looking at it on the table. Nice. I would love to hear from you, my loyal watchers, if you are turners, who some of your favorites and inspirations are. And if you are not turners, what has you watching turning videos? I think that watching turning videos is quite relaxing. Um, but that's because I do this. But I enjoy watching the creation of something from nothing to something. Um, so tell me what you guys think. Love to have a conversation. There's nothing. I really enjoy talking turning with turners. Don't get me wrong. I also like explaining it to novices and people that don't necessarily know what it is and what it is we get into. But people that do know, I enjoy talking turning. Okay, so we're just going to turn this one right around and hope that we got the foot size correct. I think we did. Nope. Let's. You know what? It's going to be easier just to put another ridge in here. Same as the other one. Good. Just a tiny little bead in there. That's all that is. Now I'm being a perfectionist. Sorry. If I'm going to do it, you might as well do. Yeah. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right. So I made the foot longer. So I need to change this curve. again, what I was saying about paying attention to form and proportion and relations of curves to each other and things like that. It's very, very important. If you wanna make a bowl that'll last a couple of years, it's not that important, right? Like it's not important on bowls that you buy at Target. If you wanna make a piece that is artistic as well as functional, that is generational, not just disposable, even for a little thing like this, those little things really matter. Okay. I don't need to go a whole lot deeper. I'm going to try and stay out of the way of the camera here, which may be a challenge, so bear with me. Again, this is not my normal setup, so it is not ideal, but I'm going to try it. So what I'm doing here, this is my 3/8 deep fluted bowl gouge that I think needs to be sharpened. Oh yeah. Much better. So normally I'm more on top of the tool than this. As I said, I'm trying to stay out of the way here. Again, that's why that happens. And I'm just watching what's going on down here. Now this is a little bit thick for this small a bowl. Excuse me a minute. I'm going to get in the way. I've actually come to like using this tool that I'm using now without a handle. I'm not sure if it is entirely safe, so I don't recommend it. But I like the control that it gives me to be able to. Um, I feel like I have much more a much better sense of the rotation of the tool. I feel like I'm getting thin there. Oh, I'm all right. Felt like I was getting thin, but I wasn't especially. Now, I am about as deep as I want to be, though. So I'm just going to take my bowl scraper, and I actually can use my large bowl scraper. Again, I'm normally I'm normally sort of standing on top of this tool to get the right amount of support to it and control of it. But I'm also trying to stay out of the way of the camera, which I have a feeling I'm failing at here. I just simply don't have I don't have the setup for the right angle here. All right, I'm going to get in the way again. Sorry. So as I was saying earlier about the skewed scraper being able to smooth out the curves on the outside of the bowl, the bowl gouge, and the larger the bowl gouge you can use, or bowl gouge, the larger the bowl scraper you can use in relation to your curve, the better that that it works at that as well. I'm just feeling for the ridges. You know, your fingers give you the best idea of how the curve is. I feel like I'm a little bit thick in this corner. Use a slightly more tightly radiused scraper. You know why I feel like I'm tight in this corner? I'm actually a little bit shallow. So I'm going to go in a little bit deeper. Much better. Sometimes you have to have the courage to go through the bottom or the side. Understanding that there is always more wood. And if you have that courage, then you end up with much better balanced bowls in the long run. Because what you get is inside curves that match the bottoms of your bowls much better. You also invariably fail, right? Invariably, you will go through the bottoms. You will go through the walls. But you learn from them. You learn how far you can go. You learn what it sounds like when you're about to go through. You learn what it feels like, what it looks like, all these things. And it's that knowledge to me is more valuable than the one bowl that you ruined. So try it. This is me being a little out of practice, because what I have here is an outside that comes in towards center at the rim very slightly, and an inside that doesn't match that. So I have to lean in front again. Okay. So this takes a little longer, especially on video. I apologize. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. And again, the more you do it, the better your bowls are. Still not there. There is a sentiment, especially among less bold wood turners, to quit while you're ahead. And that is also a sentiment that some of us less bold wood turners, I'm not that less bold, or less cautious wood turners, sometimes I feel like I could live by the idea of being a little less bold. But among less bold wood turners, we often say, or you often hear, quit while you're ahead. A, you know, a less than perfect bowl is better than a funnel, which I don't necessarily agree with. But sometimes, yes, you can still quit while you're ahead. But get it right. This one I think I got right. Oh, yeah. So, my friends, I took this off and was cleaning it up a little bit, and I dropped it on the floor, and I heard the wonderful cracking sound. So, let's see how we did. Always fun to look at a cross section of a bowl that you mess up. But look, I actually have no complaints about that. See how the outer curve and the inner curve are, although they're not identical, they are consistent. The bottom is flat, gets a little bit bigger here at the edge. You learn a lot from these. You learn how you did. And I actually don't have a whole lot of complaints about this particular one. Number 2. So I think the best way that I'm going to do this is to get in the way and get it done as quickly as I can. I like this bowl. This is a deep bowl for as small as it is, which I don't get very often. I don't get to make very often. Usually my smaller bowls are also relatively shallow. This came from a thicker piece of wood that was split, I think. So I got a nice deep bowl, but a small diameter out of it. I really don't have any chuck marks in there either. There we are, one bowl and one learning experience. Thank you guys for watching.